Hi, I'm Ted Nelson, here to talk about a different kind of permission system for a different kind of document. Most people don't understand it. It's inside out and upside down from every other permission system. I'm not sure Larry Lessig understands it. He's stopped replying to my emails, but maybe he'll watch this video. It has the same objectives as, broadly speaking, as the vaunted copyright permissions, GPL and Creative Commons, namely, making everything reusable without negotiation frictionlessly. Okay. But those permissions, well, GPL is very strict, we won't get into that, and Creative Commons is basically a polite way of getting people to give up any hope of payment. Whereas transcopyright involves the possibility of requiring payment in an amiable and non-coercive way. It's had little recognition, except amazingly, transcopyright was the official copyright definition of the ACM in the 1990s. Look it up, ACM transcopyright. Just Google ACM transcopyright. This was due to Peter Deming, who was the president of the ACM at the time. And he somehow put in his own definition, which I don't understand, so we'll go directly to the current definition, which you can find at the bottom of the Xanadu.com homepage, Xanadu.com at the bottom. While it was developed in relation to the Xanadu project, nevertheless, I will not mention Xanadu again in this video. Instead, let's talk about popcorn. Popcorn is a very interesting project started by the Mozilla Foundation, but they dropped it. Possibly it was too hot for them to handle. It's now being continued at the Internet Archive and elsewhere. I can't speak for its present state of usability, but I'll tell you how it's supposed to work. Popcorn allows you to create a composite video from any videos on the net. YouTube, Vimeo, anything else. But it does not create a file. It creates an EDL. So an EDL is an edit decision list. This is a term from Hollywood from the 1970s, I think, when professional videotape came in. The producer would return from a shoot with a stack of videos, a stack of tapes, and look them over and select the shots. And they had to do them very crudely in those days. And they'd say, all right, we're going to take, in reel 1, we're going to take frame 1007 to 2083. And then in reel 2, we'll take such and such, and reel 3 will take such and such. And these would be put together consecutively. They'd be copied automatically from the EDL, the edit decision list, by a machine. So the edit decision list was the list of shots, their lengths, and where they were. And the edit decision list is with us today in every professional motion picture editing and video editing system there is. So, Popcorn creates an EDL of those segments chosen from anywhere on the net and presents them in a viewer consecutively as if it's one movie. What's the permission? Can you use Creative Commons? I don't see how. Can you use GPL? I don't see how. Because you need a permission system, of which there is none. But it's not a permission for lumps. Now, let's explain. Creative Commons, GPL, most of the existing copyright permission systems are about putting part of one lump into another lump. So, suppose you say, you may quote this, provided you provided the Creative Commons attribution. Say, quote this and attribute it to the author. Well, that means that you're putting part of file A into file B, the quoted part, and in file B you put the quoted part and the attribution. So one lump is being put into, part of one lump is being put into another lump. So, but that doesn't work for EDLs, you see. An EDL is a list of parts which are to be composited in the user's viewing system. So that means that requires an entirely different permission system. Now, the only frictionless way you can do this is for the user to give permission unqualifiedly to the use of the content in any new context. So what's the best the user can hope for? A path back to the original context so that the user can see what the original context of this part was. And second, the possibility of payment. Because, well, let me state what the transcopyright permission is. The transcopyright permission says you may use any amount of this content in your EDL, provided that the user only gets it from my server and that a path back is provided. So the path back allows access to the original context, and getting it from my server means that you could put in a micro paywall. Our notion of a micropayment is, I've heard people define micropayment as 25 cents or less. Excuse me. Micro is micro, right? So if we sell the content, we'll sell it by the element. You buy 1,000 characters, that's maybe a cent. Okay? But you can buy it in any quantity. And so you can buy the whole document, and that could be $1. The point being that that this allows quotation in any amount in any new context. If you want to control the content, the context, then you can't use this, because if you're going to allow people to put something into an EDL, it has to go into any arbitrary new context. But you can provide for the path back so the user can see more, can see the original context, and appreciate your other work. And a micropayment gateway can be imposed. And what's the penalty if the user doesn't pay? Well, that part doesn't come in when the EDL is composited in the viewer. So it's a very simple, and it seems to me extremely fair method. Now, what's needed is an enhanced viewer which provides for such payment, and a micropayment server. We're working on a prototype. I'm working on a prototype with Edward Betts in England. But this is, again, it's off the beaten track. Now, so many youngsters say, well, everything should be free, shouldn't it? Well, yeah. Thanks. I'll take a free meal from you. Thank you. I'll take a free apartment. I don't think so. The notion that authors should be paid has been with us for a very long time, and I've said from the beginning that for a viable publishing system on the internet, you have I didn't know there'd be an internet, but for a viable publishing system online, and I thought there'd be world publishing online starting in 1960, there has to be some form of payment. But you want to be able to quote freely without negotiation. So that's what the transcopyright is about in a composite. So we need a micropayment, a micropayment server, a royalty server, and appropriate viewers. Now, again, should everything be free? Well, I had a long argument with Tim Berners-Lee in Tokyo in 1996, and he was saying, "Oh, everything should be free." And now it seems the World Wide Web Consortium has now said there's going to be payment. Well, we'll see. We're going to see how gentle that is, won't we? So I believe that the transcopyright provides a gentle system of reuse and payment that everybody can use freely. Now, some people have complained that this doesn't allow fair use. Excuse me, it does. It allows fair use in exactly the same way that fair use is obtained in other paid content. How do you do fair use from a book? Well, you have a book. It is a legitimate purchased original. Now, from that purchased original, the reuser takes small content, and those small pieces are called fair use. So someone who has purchased under micropayment a legitimate copy can then do exactly the same. Put these small content pieces out for fair use. So somebody has to make a legitimate payment at the beginning before fair use occurs. Will the bad guys break the system? Well, of course, they break everything. This is for people who, if you're a bad guy, you don't need permission for anything, do you? But for those who care about permission, and for those who care about being able to reuse freely and legitimately and quote in any amount in the EDL world. And I won't mention the EDL system I've been working on a long time for documents. Then you need a system like transcopyright. Thank you.